time to face the truth in Thailand. King Bhumibol's reign is over. Now they are waking up to a fearful truth: that day has already dawned. The decrepit 88-year-old monarch is still clinging to life, but only because he hasn't been allowed to die. For years he has been sinking deeper into senility and senescence, and by now he is barely ever even conscious at all. He has no idea of what is going on in Thailand beyond the walls of his hospital room. He is unable to communicate. Not only is he totally unable to perform his duties as king, he is no longer even functional in the most basic sense as a human being. He is kept alive in this miserable state by incessant medical treatment, and machines that keep him breathing and drain toxins from his body. It's unlikely he will hang on for much longer. The most recent medical report issued by the Royal Household Bureau was the most pessimistic ever published. Medical announcements from the palace tend to be mostly fictional, routinely downplaying or concealing the seriousness of Bhumibol's health problems, and always ending on an upbeat note: the king is getting much better. Not this time. The latest bulletin gravely informed Thais that Bhumibol's lungs were choked with fluid, and his blood pressure was failing. There was even an unusually frank account of His Majesty's problems producing urine. The symptoms suggest end-stage renal disease, the final stage of kidney failure. And yet, mysteriously, royal edicts and decrees bearing Bhumibol's signature continue to be issued by the palace, even though the king is barely alive and certainly unable to hold a pen or read and understand a document. Just a few days ago, for example, it was announced that Bhumibol had approved amendments to the junta's constitution. How is this possible? The answer is that Crown Prince Vajiralongkorn and the military junta led by Prawit Wongsuwan and Prayuth Chan-o-cha have conspired to hijack the powers of the Thai monarchy by faking the king's signature and claiming his assent whenever they require it. This is, of course, totally illegal. But they believe they are above the law. Not long after the junta seized power in May 2014, it started to become apparent that the prince and the generals were colluding, and acting with total impunity. In October that year, Vajiralongkorn decided he'd had enough of his third wife Srirazami, and began a vicious purge of her family. Her parents, 3 brothers, a sister, an uncle, and several more distant relatives were charged with lèse-majesté and jailed. Srirazami herself was banished to her family home in Rakaburi, and has been denied any further contact with her young son Dipangkorn. Credible information has emerged that even now she is still being tormented and humiliated on the orders of the prince. Throughout the saga, the junta has acquiesced in Vajiralongkorn's campaign of senseless cruelty towards Srirazami and her family. During 2015, enemies of the Crown Prince among the Thai elite leaked details of corruption in projects involving Vajiralongkorn's allies and senior military officers. The prince responded by launching another savage purge, which included the murder of 3 members of his inner circle. Police Major Prakram Waranprapa was killed in October 2015 while being held in military detention at the army barracks in Nakorn Cheri Road, Bangkok. The official explanation for his death was that he hanged himself with his shirt in his cell. Then, in November, famous fortune teller Sorean Sukarak Polwang aka Moryong also died in military custody. This time the official explanation was a deadly blood infection. Vajiralongkorn's chief bodyguard, Major General Pisatsk Saniwang Na Ayudhya was murdered too, an atrocity that caused particular shock among members of the Crown Prince's entourage. Pisatsk, nicknamed Jack, had been considered close to the prince. They regularly worked out and sparred together to keep fit, and Jack had even briefly dated Vajiralongkorn's daughter Princess Bhadrakata Yabha when they attended the Royal Chitralada school together years ago. Pisatsk was fired from the military in October 2015, via a government order accusing him of gravely evil behavior, published in the Royal Gazette and apparently signed by King Bhumibol and Prayuth Chan-o-cha. His death was never officially announced, but his family was told that he had committed suicide.